Welcome to game day. It's Friday. Happy Friday. I hope you've enjoyed the math lessons this week. You've been working really hard, so just keep it up. I'm really proud of you for joining me each day and keep up the good work. I thought we'd play a game today just so that we can practice our converting improper fractions into mixed numbers. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a game that's similar to what we played last week, except this time we're going to be using fractions. So what we're going to do is you're going to get a turn and then I'll get a turn, and I'm going to deal you two numbers, and the first two numbers that I've dealt you is 10 6. So on a piece of paper, what you're going to do is you're going to write an improper fraction. You're going to write 10 6, and what I'd like you to not do is write 6/10. The bigger number needs to be the numerator for an improper fraction, so I want you to write 10 6. And what I'd like you to do is now turn this into a division problem. So you're going to write 10 6, okay? And you're going to write 10 divided by 6. And what you're going to do is you're going to write 10 divided by 6 and then go ahead and do the division problem. And I'm going to give you a minute to do your own division problem. And if you're not sure what to do, you can watch me in a minute and I'll do the work as well, but I want you to take a turn at it. So go ahead and solve this problem, and then I'll solve it. If you need a little bit more time, you can always pause the video. So 6 goes into 10 one time, and 6 times 1 is 6. And I want you to remember back from division, when we have a two-digit number that we're dividing into, the answer right here, the quotient, that goes above the last digit we divide into. So we didn't divide into 1, we divided into 10, and 0 is the last digit, so my answer goes up above. So just remember to keep that habit in place, because you don't want to get into the bad habit of putting your answer here, because as division gets more complicated or bigger problems, that one will be in the wrong place and it will make your answers incorrect. Okay, so you put the 1 right there, and then what you're going to do is you're going to subtract, and then as you know, the numerator or your remainder is now your numerator. So your answer for this division problem is 1 4/6. So on an answer or on a score sheet, what we're going to do is we're going to write your first answer, 1 4/6. So that's your score for the first round. And now it's my turn to go. I need to find my eraser. Here we go. So I'm going to draw two cards as well. And my two cards are 8 and 3. So I'm going to write 8/3 in a fraction like that, mixed or improper fraction, and then I'm going to write the division problem, which is 8 divided by 3. And when it's my turn, I'll go a little bit quicker, but I'd like you to watch just so that you get a lot of repetition on this skill, so that it kind of becomes second nature as the more you see it and the more you practice. So 3 times 2 is 6. My remainder is going to be 2 because 8 minus 6 is 2. So my final answer is 2 2/3. So on the score sheet, I'm going to write for my first score 2 2/3. Now for this one, what I'd like us to do is I'd like you to figure out which one is bigger and which one is smaller. So I'm going to make this symbol. 1 4/6 is less than 2 2/3. So I technically won that round, so I get 1 point. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, now it's your turn, and I hope to pick up the pace a little bit here. Got a lot of stuff to mess with today, don't I? Okay, next one for you is going to be 9 halves. Okay, and I want you to be thinking in advance. Is that a good set of cards that you just got? What do you think? I think it's pretty good, and I'll tell you why. Because I know that there's several 2s that can go into 9, so you're going to have a big score this time. So what I want you to write is 9 divided by 2, and think about how many 2s can go into 9. Go ahead and write that answer right up here, and then you're going to multiply, and then you're going to find your remainder and write a fraction. So 2 goes into 9 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. I'm going to subtract, and the final answer is 4 1/2. So for your next score, or your next round, you got 4 1/2. Well done. Okay, now it's my turn. And my next 2 cards, let's see what I get. I get a 5 and a 7. And it needs to be improper, so I need to switch those around, just like that. And now I'm going to do my division problem. And can you guess if your mixed number is bigger than my mixed number? So you want to be thinking about that. And I know that you've won this round because 5 is so close to 7 that only one 5 can fit into 7. So 5 times 1 is 5. My remainder is 2, and I write 1 2/5. So my score over here is 1 2/5. So if we were to compare which one's bigger, 4 1/2 or 1 2/5, we really just need to look at our whole numbers, right? And we know that 4 is bigger than 1. So you're going to write the symbol that looks like that. And for this round, you've won. You've gotten a point. So good job. I'm going to make a little point box up here for us. Okay, now it is your turn again. I'll give you 2 new cards, and this time you got a 2 and a 13. Wow, not too shabby. 13 halves. That's a lot of halves, right? If we were thinking about halves from our other lessons, these are halves. You have a lot of halves. You have 13 of these. That's great. You're going to get a good high score for that one. So you're going to write 13 halves, or you're going to write 13 divided by 2. Then go ahead and do the math, and I'm going to give you a little thinking time to do that, and then I'll show the answer as well, but I'd like you to do your own work as best you can, and then if you want to fast forward through my explanation, if you're getting the hang of it, that's great, and if you want to do it with me, you can do that with me in just a second. So I'll give you a minute here. Okay, so how many 2's go into 13? Well, I'm thinking to myself, 2 times 5 would get me close. 2 times 6 gets me even closer. 2 times 7, I go over. So that doesn't work. So I'm going to go with 2 times 6 because I want to get as close as possible when I divide. And then I'm going to multiply. 2 times 6 is 12. My remainder is 1, so the answer for you this time is 6 1/2. So on our score sheet, we're going to write 6 1/2, and then I'll take a turn. Okay, my two numbers are 11 and 5. So what we're saying here is 11/5. I'm going to turn it into a division problem. And I'm going to think how many 5s can I squeeze into 11 without going over? So I know that 5 times 2 is 10, so I'm going to go with that. That gets me super close. I'm going to have a small remainder, 1/5. So my final answer is 2 1/5. And which fraction is bigger? Let's look at the whole numbers here. 6 is bigger than 2, so you have won that round as well. We're going to play 5 rounds, and currently you're in the lead, so congratulations. All right, next turn for you. You got 7/5. I think I got 7/5 earlier too. That's interesting. Okay, so 7 divided by 5. And if you want to do this on your own, go ahead and pause the video right now, and I'm going to show the solution. But I'd love it if you did it on your own so that you can practice this skill. It's a really important skill to know how to do. And the more repetition you get at a good pace, the quicker you're more likely to learn it faster if we keep moving really quickly. So here's the solution. 5 times 1 is 5. Oops. Got my signals crossed there. Okay. So now 7 take away 5 is 2. So my answer, or your answer, is 1 2/5. Hopefully that's what you got on your own as well. Okay, so 1 2/5. Now it's my turn. And my next two numbers are 11/4. That looks good to me. Okay, so I'm going to write 11 divided by 4. The fraction bar always says divided by. How many 4s go into 11? 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. So I'm going to go with 2. 4 times 2 is 8. I subtract. My remainder is 3, and my remainder is my numerator. So my answer for this round is 2 3/4. So I'm going to write my answer here. And who won this round? Looks like I did, so it's a tie. This is very exciting. Okay, so this is for all the marbles. Here we go. Are you ready? Your final turn. Let's see what you get. You get 8/3. Eight divided by 3. Go ahead and pause your video and solve your own problem. And I'll begin to solve right now. Okay, so your answer for this one was 2 2/3. All right, let's see what I get for the final turn. Here we go. I got 5/4. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, so I think you may have won this one. And the reason I'm thinking that is because I'm trying to do some estimating as I go, and I'm trying to think of 5/4. So if I have, I'll show you some fourths. If I have 4 fourths, right, I'm going to get 1 whole. And if I have 5 fourths, I'm going to have 1 whole and 1 fourth. Do you see that? So 5 fourths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 fourths in a division problem is going to be 5 divided by 4. So 4 goes into 5 1 whole time. So I got 1 whole pizza out of 4 of these, right? I'll just keep those there so you can look at it. 1 whole, and then I'm going to have 1 left over. So 4 times 1 is 4, and my remainder is 1. And what is it? It's a fourth. It's 1 fourth, 1 fourth. So my final answer is 1 and 1 fourth. And you look like you might have the bigger number. So congratulations. 2 and 2/3 is bigger than 1 and 1 fourth. So you've won this round. And that's our game day for today. What I'm going to ask you to do is you can play this game at home with a couple of variations. You might not have the cards that I have that go up to, I think my cards go up to 20, although we didn't see a number that high. What you can do at home is you can get some dice, and you could have 3 of these, and I'll just clear off all my stuff here. It's been a lot of equipment for this lesson. So let's say you have 3 dice. You could roll 3 dice. So I roll a 3 the first time, okay? And I roll a 1 the next time, and then I roll a 3 the next time. So what I can do is I can say the first 2 rolls are my numerator. So that would be 3 plus 1 is 4. And my last roll is my denominator. So that would be 4/3. And then the next person who plays can do the same thing. So that's one variation of how to play the game. If you want to make it more complicated, you could get 4 die, and you could make a bigger number here by rolling 3 die and then having a numerator be your 4th roll. So that there's lots of variations to make it, to kind of start out easier and then make it a little bit more challenging if you'd like. The other way you could play is you could use a deck of face cards if you have those at home, and you have a jack, a queen, a king, and an ace in a deck of cards, and those can be the next digits. So the jack could be an 11, right? The queen could be a 12. The king could be a 13. And the ace could be a 14. So you could play with bigger numbers that way too. I would love it if you taught this game to a family member. I think it would be a really fun thing to do. So that's a way you can play this game at home. Finally, for today, I'm going to ask that you finish any of the assignments that I gave you this week that you may not have finished. So look through your workbook pages and see if there's any pages that you didn't complete, and go ahead and finish those. And then also do exit ticket number 5 today. And I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.